Morning. I'd like to tell you a little something about solar panels this time. What to look for before you decide to get some. Now, here at the house, we were dealing with a company since I think the first time we talked to them was in November of 2017. And we started getting everything rolling and the paperwork done to get a solar system here on the house. And the salesman came out and told us all the good things about it, and then took some pictures and some measurements of the roof, and they figured out where to put them to where they would be the most productive. And they said that, say our electric bill is $100. They said, well, this solar system that we're going to put up will produce $140 worth of electricity. And I thought, well, that's great. I'll be able to save money, tell kind of give the utility company the finger, and not pay them as much money, and be able to put a little bit of money back in my pocket. And the way the pricing was it was a $25,000 system, but it comes with everything. It comes with the panels, the wiring, the installation. They come out and do an energy audit of your house to where they plug up all the doors and windows and check the insulation and all that different stuff just to keep all the heat and cold inside the house. That way you're not running your air conditioning or heater on more than you need to. And I thought, well, this is great. But with that $27,000 system, it was a 25-year loan that basically they would pay for themselves. And so instead of giving that $100 to the utility company, I would take that $100 and give it to the solar panel company, because it would save me $100 on my electric bill. But then the payments for the panels were $100. So they said, yep, you'll be able to not have a utility bill with them to a certain extent, because there were still those other fees and water and all that kind of stuff. It's all run through the same company here. And so I would be saving $100 on my utility bill, but then I would pay for the solar panels with that $100. And then I'd even be able to put $20 in my pocket. And one of the big selling points was also that once we go to sell the house, that it'll add that much to the resale value. Well, I thought, this is great. There's no downside to this. And I was trying to think of what's the catch? Where's the downside? This is a salesman. Clearly, he's trying to screw me, because I never trust a salesman. But this time I did. And I happened to be talking to an appraisal expert who had been doing appraisals, and that was her job for 26 years. And it just kind of came up in conversation. Oh yeah, I cut down the tree on the side of my house because the south-facing roof would have been the most productive side, but I had a giant tree on that side. So they said to make it more productive and be the best that it could be, I needed to take that tree down. So we spent the $2,000 to take the tree down, and they were just going to lump that into the loan, and it would raise the payments by a few bucks a month over time. And I was talking to her, and it just kind of came up. She was, well, why'd you cut the tree down? I said, well, I'm putting solar panels on the house. And I told her all this big grand thing that the salesman told me, and she went, well, I wouldn't do that. It doesn't raise your house value by anything. She said, basically, when we go out to look at a house that has solar panels, it's not really worth a dime. To us, anyway. And she started kind of explaining to how the appraisal process works. And just so that she didn't have, just to double check herself to make sure she wasn't wrong, or maybe it was just, an unbiased opinion, she called somebody else and said, here is, say in this neighborhood at this price range of a house that's this many square feet, if you added solar panels to that, how much, what's your experience with the value of the house if they go to sell it? And she goes, well, actually, I did this just 2 weeks ago. And it was an area that wasn't very far from where I am. And in order to do the values and all, they compare your house to the other houses in the area that are kind of similar to yours, setup and size and all that kind of stuff. That way they can kind of gauge what the general price range is. That's a very, very loose description from my head because I fully don't understand the thing. But that's kind of how it was described to me. And she goes, well, I was in this area here, and there was a house about that size, about that square footage and setup and all, and say it appraised for $104,000. And she said, okay. And then I took that same house and she found another house in the area that was kind of, same to that, but had solar panels. And she said she went through all the paperwork, added everything up, and the house with the solar panels appraised for $104,000. So there wasn't a dollar worth of difference between them. And I started kind of going, okay, well, hold on a minute. And because that was one of the main selling points. And I started kind of looking into it, doing some research, looking stuff up. And I found out that there's a limit on how far they can look away from the house that's being appraised. So say my house is being appraised, they can't look more than, they've got a limited range of, say, 1.5 miles. Or if it's some unique circumstance, maybe 1 mile or 2 past that. And there was nothing in my area that had solar panels to even see what it would do to the value of the house. And I started looking through, okay, how many houses have solar panels in my state? And the state of Kansas. And I found an article that was showing that there were only about 700 houses in the state of Kansas that had solar systems. So that narrows down the range a lot because there's not a whole lot of houses that have them. There's not many in my area. And then I found somebody who had gone through the exact same thing that I was thinking about doing. And they said that it was an article, kind of one of those question and answer kind of pages. And they said, well, we bought this house. We've been here for 7 years. And we're looking to retire and move to our dream house. And they said we had some good people come through and take a look at it. And one person even made an offer on the house. And, everything was going smoothly until they found out that the solar panels were still being financed, still being paid off. And they said that immediately shut that buyer off and they left. And there was no sale. And then that was because they said that there are 3 options when you have solar panels. You can either pay them off fully, because you can just buy them cash all at once, or you can just pay them off and then they are yours. You can take them off the house, take them with you to your new house, put them up there. You can sell them with the house. So there's that option. Or you can lease them or finance them from the company. Lease was a standard flat rate of this much per month for a 20-year lease. And so there was that option. And to sell the house with that, the buyers of the house can do some paperwork to actually know the lease had to be paid in order for them to be able to have them. Either paid or the lease switched over to their name or had a new lease put on it. Or with financing them, I could either pay them off and be done with financing, or the buyer goes to the solar company and they do up paperwork to get and see if they qualify for the credit to make the payments on the system, and they make up a new loan, and the solar panels are now in the buyer's name instead of the seller of the house. And the way it was explained to me was, if they can, say I put the solar panels are on there, and it adds $20,000 to the price of the house, the value of the house. if they have the extra 20 grand to spend, they're not going to buy my house with solar panels for the extra 20 grand. They're going to go find a different, bigger, and better house for 20 grand more. So there was that. And then the other side was because the guys were telling me at the solar company, oh, yeah, we can do up the paperwork, this and that. And if you decide to sell the house and the panels, we can do paperwork and have them just take over the loan. Well, they can, and it's really nice that they are willing to make up all that paperwork and take the extra effort to do it. But I know when I got into this house, I put every penny into getting into this house. By the time it was done, I didn't have any money left over. So in order for somebody, that seems to be the general way that I found that people did it. So if they were going to buy my house, they would be putting every penny into buying my house to get into the house. But then to have to turn around and go, oh, I have to fill out more paperwork for another $20,000, $17,000, whatever's left on the panels. That just wouldn't work, because then they have another hard credit check. They have another loan, which goofs up the debt to income ratio for when you're getting a loan. Now they have payments on the house and payments on panels, and it's a pain in the butt, and people don't want to do it. So that's one thing to think about before you get solar panels. Another thing that was explained to me is they say, well, yeah, the panels can produce $120 worth of electricity, and when your utility bill is only $100, good deal, you come out on top. But that's under perfect circumstances. That is with full sunlight right on them. And so at least in my area, it becomes a bit of an issue because lately it's been raining a lot. We've had a lot of cloudy days. So I would have my electric bill that wasn't taken care of by the solar panels, the portion that was left over. But then I would still have the set payment for the solar panels. So I'd still be paying utilities, still be paying for solar panels, and I would end up spending more on those months where we had cloudy days. And then during the winter, the sun isn't up as long, and it's in a different position in the sky, so it's not getting as much sunlight for as long, so it would produce less. And there is some kind of deal that they explained about the utility company where on those, the summer months where you're getting an excess, they give you credits that they then take around and apply to the winter months. But they said at one point during the year, they reset it. So I don't know when that I don't know when during the year that was. So it ended up being I canceled the contract because it was my fault. I signed the paperwork thinking this is going to be great before I did my research, and I wish I would have found a video like this to let me know that beforehand. That way I didn't have a cancellation fee. So I still had to pay, the tree's down, there's $2,000 regardless. I had to come up with that immediately to take care of that bill. And then the solar company had a $500 cancellation fee, and that was the minimum. So, since they hadn't installed anything yet or come in to do the energy audit or anything, I told them, hey, I'm going to cancel. And then I had to come up with $500 right then, pretty much to pay the cancellation fee. So within 2 days, boom, unexpected $2,500. We got that taken care of because luckily I hold on to any little bit of money that I have, and it was just enough to cover the tree and the cancellation fee. So if you're thinking about solar panels, please keep these things in mind. Do your research before you get to the point that I did, where because they gave me 3 days from the signing of the contract to cancel and just be done. No cancellation fee, nothing. But I ended up going all the way up until they were ready to install before I looked into it. So that was dumb on my part, but hopefully this video will help bring up some things to look into. Now in your area, it may be a great idea. You may live in a place that's sunny and warm all the time, sun's in the air most of the day, no cloudy days, and it could work great. And there are areas of the country that do have a lot of homes with solar panels in them, so it may raise the price of your resale value. I don't know. But if there's more of them around and they're more useful and they're more popular in your area, it could be a really good deal. But before you decide to sign a contract saying, yes, I want them, think about these things. That way you don't run into my situation. Oh, all right. Well, I'm going to get on back to work. I'll be good.